Hello, and Dan here from Games, Brains, and a Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial.com for short. And it's track by track time. This is one chosen by me. We're looking at Animal by Shining. This is, of course, Shining, the Norwegian band from Oslo, the one that's been going since 1999, where many musicians have come and gone, but singer, guitarist, saxophonist, and songwriter Jørgen Munkeby has stayed as its leading force and only constant member. But also bear in mind, because this is a confusing point, this Shining is not to be confused with the Swedish black metal band of the same name. This Shining is famous for creating black jazz sound. So they have that
Fair enough.
specific genre. Animal was their 8th album and a bit of a controversial one, unsurprisingly, because it shocked fans by dropping the thing that kind of made Shining famous, the saxophone itself. This, released in 2018, is effectively a synth rock pop album. And that bothered a lot of people, unsurprisingly.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of Shining before. I don't think I will again after this.
Harsh words.
I really tried to come at it with open open ears even. Obviously, I think artwork for albums is a very important part. As somebody that designs artwork for bands and stuff, I think it's a really important part of your branding and what people like. It's the first thing you see.
Yeah,
you need to make sure it's good. The album cover put me off so much. I genuinely went in with like, oh my god, this is going to be fucking horrible. The first song calmed me down, but it didn't get better from there.
Wow. Okay, that's I never worry about artwork and stuff like that. I've seen some of the worst and the best album covers in the entire world, and it's made no bearing on the musical taste for me. That's my kind of thing. I've always got like an interesting thing about Shining is that one of my earliest Bloodstock experiences, I was walking across the field, across the main stage field towards the New Blood tent. And I remember looking over and going, that dude got a saxophone. All right. And just carried on. Didn't think anything of it. Many years later, I would end up then going to see Shining on this album tour, play at the Underworld. Had a great time. And when he cracked that saxophone, I just thought that was great. I'm a big fan of unique instruments used in rock and metal. Whatever it might be, any brass, string, whatever you can name, I am a big fan of it, as long as it's used smartly and cleverly and so on. But obviously, regardless of that, the sax doesn't exist here. Synth is the name of the game. And it's no secret, I hope, that I am a big fan of synth. I'm a big fan of synth wave. I'm a big fan of that 80s synth and how that's utilized in both pop, rock, and so on. All right, there is a current trend where it's being brought back to such a degree, often not in a great context, and get a little bit irritated by, all right, you just threw a little bit of synth in, even though you're this hard rock band. It's like you didn't need to, and everyone just wants to kind of play around with it and stuff like that. But when it's done right, and this is now from like 4 years ago, I really like this album, but I don't think it's great. I don't think it's perfect. Some of the songs I just don't like. That's the thing. I chose it because for me, it's still one of my sort of unique listens that when maybe I'm driving and a couple of tracks are quite upbeat, I'll put it on and it'll be like, yeah, this is fun to listen to. And as of the time of recording, 24 hours prior to this, I made Brendan listen to one of these tracks as a battle reaction. And he quite liked it. So, and I'll tell you what one that is when we get to it.
Okay. Because there was a song I did like on this album.
Interesting. Ooh.
There was a song.
Oh, yeah. If it all matches up, that'd be so cool. It probably won't.
That would be cool. It probably won't, but
okay, we begin with Take Me. And oh yes, here we go. There's some serious 80s synth here, and it puts you on the back foot straight away because you're like, the fuck? Even if it rocks up nicely enough. This is catchy, but it feels a little off, as though Shining at this stage weren't feeling that confident with this one. They're still not quite sure what they're doing themselves. The thing is, though, it's a very accessible track. I can imagine this one being played on the radio and appealing to people who don't necessarily like the rock and metal side of things. That much is very sure.
Yeah. The chorus, I like the chorus. It's got a interesting mix in that it just isn't very good. Um, so I from this song I described this band as like Turnstile meets Night Flight Orchestra.
Yep.
I I'm a massive fan of like synthwave and that kind of 80s pop synth.
Yep.
I just think it's a bit dull. It's just kind of there. Like you could take that or leave it, and the song wouldn't change that much. I think they're kind of leaning on the synth a bit too much, where they could be doing things that are more interesting.
It's an interesting thing for this album because ultimately you've said it already. This is your first experience of Shining. So when you say that, for example, that they're leaning too much on the synth, I almost want to jump in and correct you and go, yeah, because they've never done it before. This is and this likely is to be an oddity. They may never do this. Just that means that kind of thing. But ultimately, I've also got to remember like this is their 8th album, and while I'm familiar with Shining previously, I'll imagine a lot of people heard this album, may have seen videos being played and whatever because it was more accessible and been like, oh, this is a brand new band without knowing any of their history. Do you know what I mean? 1999, this band has been around since.
I'll say that I recognize the artwork, so I've definitely seen this before. I don't know if I've listened to it ever, but I've definitely...
There's probably some point where you're in the car and a track or two played. There has to have been, because I listened to this when it first came out in 2018. That's 4 years ago.
That's fucking hell, 4 years
ago. Animal, which is the title track. Much more rock orientated. This is an attempt to create a sort of party anthem, and it works for the most part. It's got substance and the chorus is solid. I like it. I struggle to love it though, and I think that comes from a lack of believability. The passion just feels a bit forced, and the attempt to be a radio hit is very transparent.
I see that. There's a kind of a common theme for this album is that like it starts off really strong and I'm like, oh cool, I like that riff, and then it just go into like a kind of chuggy bit with some like the vocals.
Yeah.
Very similar chorus, like chord progressions. It's a good song. I just don't think it's that interesting.
I think I think this one was, I don't want to be too critical of it, but designed for the radio.
Yeah, and sometimes that's fine, you know, like bands I really like have done that.
Yeah.
Architects, to name a band, they've done it, and like sometimes it works really well. This one feels pretty cookie cutter though.
No, totally fine with you. And if you're wondering at this stage, Carl, didn't you say you like this album? You've been critical of the first 2 tracks. Hold on to your asses. This is where I start getting super fucking positive, because it's My Church and this is better as it has this cinematic value to it. A track that has groove and is very catchy. A lot more understated in the rock department. It's way more interesting and the chorus is particularly good. The way it rises up and explodes with the welcome to the church part, love it.
I like the vocals more on this one because I was struggling with them on the other ones. And the section before the chorus is kind of cool. I really like the drums, like the kind of beat they've got going on, and how odd the chorus is. It was a weird one, and it kind of this a bit like Thornhill will probably grow on me.
Okay.
If I listen to it a bit more. But generally with like grower albums, I need to be kind of interested in the first place, and I don't know if I will come back to it.
Yeah, that's fair. I understand that. Particularly as you've got no, not allegiance, it's the wrong word, but reason to continue down a shining path.
Yeah, it's not like Thornhill where I was like, oh, I really liked you beforehand. I don't know who this band is.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fight song. Super synthy, super accessible, super strange. Yeah, I really like this one. Maybe it's because it's so weird. Maybe it's because it has an epic feel to it. The lyrical content is nothing special, but I will say that it does its job. It G's me up, and I think they really use synth really well here.
Yeah, well, based on simply the name, I was expecting like fight riffs.
Yeah,
I sadly didn't get that, but I'm still kind of happy with like. I also agree with you. They use the synth really well. It's mixed well. I like the kind of slow rise and the like the crushy thing they've got on it. Yeah, lyrical content wise, pretty dull.
oh god,
Very
yeah.
kind of very cliche. Like we will fight till the end. You know. Very, very cliche, but it's fine. It's fine. It's good.
It is. But like I said, and like I said, it does its job though. It is cliched. It's almost cringy, you know. But the build to it kind of makes it feel bigger.
It's kind of like how I have a soft spot for like the really cheesy like Friday the 13th like slashers. They're cliche, they're a bit shit, but I kind of still like them anyway.
But remember, those films weren't cliche once upon a time. They were.
Yeah, no, true. Now they are the kind of foundation for the cliches now. So
just it became cliches with more and more sequels and stuff like that. Bitch, don't be schooling me on Friday the 13th. I have seen it.
I'm not.
No. I'm not in general out loud. No, of course not. Obviously not. No, but no, I understand what you're saying. There's no bar setting here. There's no trend setting, should I say? This is a 2018 album. You know?
Yeah, it is. I have to kind of keep that in my mind as well. It's old now,
but not so old
in terms of music.
Still can't fall under modern rules. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, we're using the horror movie analogy. This is like a found footage movie that comes out these days, and they do the exact same things that they were doing with the Blair Witch Project in 1999.
Yeah, what's like a good example? Oh, like the Slender Man movie.
I mentioned this at the time recording. I watched a brand new one that had a bit of thing called Dashcam last night, and I was shocked. It was a 2021 movie, and I was shocked at how unwatchable it was. And I was like, "Oh my god, they're still doing this! They still."
Oh my god, what was it called?
Dashcam.
Oh, it was called Dashcam.
Dashcam.
Oh, that's a shit name. I thought it was just like, is it what I actually think it is? And it's like it's filmed through a dashcam.
Well, not completely. A phone and a dash cam, so there is that. Yeah.
Talk about this another time.
Anyway, when lights go out, mellow and melodramatic. The tone of this one is nice and it has heart. But funny enough, this one, right? I think it loses impact when it rocks up in the chorus. Like I'm way more into the more mellow side of this track than I am the rockier part in the chorus.
Straight up, I just don't like it. It breaks the album up really badly, I think. I just like, you could completely bin this song and I wouldn't even notice. I wouldn't be like, oh no, where's my acoustic guitar slightly shite chorus song, you know, like.
Harsh but fair. Smash it up. A re-up of energy here, and again, Shining going for anthemic over everything else. It works though, as this one gets the blood pumping and the heart pounding. The guitars and drums giving it a heavier sound, and the vocals are really stretching here.
This was the song I liked. Much more my style. I really like that opening riff. The bass is quite chunky, and I like really like the riffs. My bit of feedback is I wish the vocals more tucked in, because I think the instrumentals on this song are really, really strong. And the vocals kind of ruin it a little bit. It's definitely a song for like a festival pit, you know. I could see them on like the Sophie stage or something playing this song, and there being a good circle pit going for it. And I would get involved, you know. Yeah, I like it, yeah. I actually saved this one as well. So
that's cool. That's cool. I'm glad then you found the one. That wasn't the one. That isn't the one that did the battle reaction, nor is it my favorite track. That comes next. My favorite track of this album, and the one I chose for said battle reaction, is When I'm Gone. I love the synth in this one. I also love the isolated vocals. I love this track. It gets under my skin. The chorus is massive, but it's the verses I really like. In particular, the second one, where his vocals go up so many extra octaves, really hitting a high point. I just love this track.
I the same thing as When the Lights Go Out. I just don't like it. I think this being after Smash It Up makes that song stand out even more, because it's like this really interesting, like, big song that's been put between two that just aren't very good for me. Yeah, I'm not sure about this one. Maybe it will grow on me a little bit, but I don't know. Really.
Interesting. I mean, it's fine. I'm not offended or anything. I was very surprised that Brendan even liked it.
Yeah, no, I can hear that. That's
And he keeps saying that he's broken because he keeps finding music that he should not like, and then he turns out he likes it. So apparently, something's going on.
It's
there.
just music taste is growing.
Everything dies. Trying hard to rock things up. This track has some bite to it, but it feels a little forced at times, and it doesn't really excite me. As close to wild as anything else in the album, though. It's probably one of the wilder tracks.
Yeah, all right, super interesting first riff, and then it goes a bit dad rocky with that first like scream. I was like, they kind of seem to keep doing this to where I'm like, oh, this will be cool. Oh, it isn't, like, and that's this. I was like, oh, this sounds, oh, that's not, it's just a bit shit. Yeah, I don't know. It just, like, this could literally, they could have handed me the same song like 5 times. It would have been like, oh, they're all like, I wouldn't have noticed.
Okay, that's fair. I don't think this one has stand out in any way, shape, or form at all.
No,
I'm not surprised you got that feeling from it. But we are at the penultimate track. It's called End. It's not quite the end, though. I think this is a great track with some interesting elements littered throughout. The beat is a foot tap, the vocals are good, and the lyrical content is actually quite sweet. It's probably worth mentioning the chorus the most, though, which is huge. This is a track that puts a big old smile on my face.
I was like, super interesting intro, and I like the riffs there. And this time it actually goes into like an interesting verse. I'm not super keen on the chorus though. Yeah, it's a bit odd for me because I'm like, yeah, choruses are cool. It just feels a bit boring.
Okay.
Like, it doesn't stand out again.
No, fair enough. I'll give me shit for it anyway. And we are at the end here. It's Hole in the Sky. This track features Linnea Dale, a Norwegian singer, and she does add a little bit of freshness to the shining sound, though this is an absolute oddity on the entire album. Something that is arguably a bit unnecessary at this stage, but not necessarily unwelcome. It's melodramatic, it's cinematic, almost folk-inspired. It gets bigger and bigger as it goes on. I kind of this one leaves me scratching my head a bit.
This is probably one of the songs I liked a bit more. I like those melodies, and I like the production with the kind of effects they've got going on in the background. Once again, it's like, I like the instrumental here. If this is an instrumental album, I'd be way more into it.
Interesting.
I really do think the vocals are what's putting me off here. It's like it's like I can't even think of anything. It's like Death Heaven for a lot of people. Like, I have recommended Ordinary Corrupt Human Love to loads of people and been like, check this out, the instrumentals are fucking amazing. And they're like, I like the instrumentals, but the vocals put me off. And I think it's the same thing here for me.
I get that. I mean, I get it. I do get it. You know, the dick in me goes, well, they're fucking wrong. They're fucking wrong about Death Heaven. You know.
Oh yeah, no. Somebody said they didn't like the vocals, and I like got really annoyed at them. Yeah. I was like, "You're a fucking dickhead. You should like." And I felt a bit out of order for it as well, because I was like, "Music's subjective," but you're still a dickhead.
Which is why you would never actually, you never really think it and say it. Like, for example, you're saying that you have a problem with Jürgen's vocals. I'm sitting there thinking, and I'm being polite about it, but I think he's wrong. I think he is dead wrong. I think the guy's got an amazing voice, but again, that's subjective. That's an opinion. That's the point. I think when we do our 3 tracks, we're probably going to have completely different ones.
I imagine so. I can only think of 2.
We've got
no. I've got
rule. Go on.
Am I going first? Okay. Probably Take Me. Oh, Fucking hell. Take Me, My Church, and Smash It Up.
That speaks volumes about how much trouble Dan has had with this album, that you're having to do that on the fly. You did at least pull out My Church, because that's one of mine. My Church, When I'm Gone, and End are my three.
Okay.
As I said at the start, I like this album a lot. I think it's got some great songs in it, but I also think it's got some songs that are just meh. They're just there. That's the end of it. I can see why. But I can also see why you wouldn't like it, or why you don't like a lot of the tracks on it, or certain things like that. I think it's a polarizing album. That is the biggest thing about it. I'd be very surprised if I met someone who told me that they adore this album and think it's the best thing the band's ever done. Like, I'd be very surprised, and I'd love to sort of understand why that person thinks that, if that makes sense.
I'm kind of intrigued to go back and listen to like a little bit of their old discography, just to see if like I just genuinely just don't really vibe with it, or if it's just this sound.
Well, you will be certainly surprised. It is different. Shining's Animal. You got any thoughts on it? Are you the person that adores this album and loves everything on it? You know what to do? Drop it in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please help us out by giving us a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. If you really liked what you saw, consider donating to keep the website and channel running by buying us a coffee via our coffee page, or picking up some merch from our Big Cartel store. You can check us out on gbhbl.com, as well as via our social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as listen to our interviews via SoundCloud, Apple Music, and Spotify. Just search for GBHBL. Games, horror, and heavy metal. What else is life for?